let's just see what happens. The idea is that I'm not really going to be lecturing in this session. I'm going to be reading from my book, A Playful Path, doing readings as if I were a poet, as if it were poetry, to stimulate you to think about things, mostly about game design, but you can, about playfulness, because playfulness is something that I have found to be, after 45 years of working to teach people about games and play and fun, I've come to the realization that the core of all of that is the idea of playfulness. And that if I can help you become more playful, or take advantage of the playfulness that is in your heart, that is in your being, because I believe that if any of you are here involved because you're involved in games, playfulness is that your playfulness was driven you to do that. That's kind of the core, is that you are inherently, you understand what playfulness is, and you believe in it, you trust it. So I'm going to try to encourage you in the next 90 minutes, or perhaps 15, depending upon how much fun we have or not, to I hate to say it this way, but to take playfulness seriously.
This is
Oh, but I have to introduce you.
And now, a woman who needs no introduction, Dr. Celia Pierce.
So hi, I am Celia Pierce, and this is actually my last event at Georgia Tech. As many of you know, I'm leaving this semester, so I'm really excited because Bernie. Because the first time I met Bernie, he was giving a talk at USC, and I was so blown away by his talk that I went up to him afterwards and asked him if he would be my guru. And he said, "Is there any money involved?" And I said, "No, but there will be many citations." And one of those citations is the blurb that I wrote for the back of the brand new MIT edition of The Well-Played Game. This is, do you want to hold yours up for a second? This is a book that probably 200 of my students have purchased over the last 8 years in various editions and forms, but this is the brand new MIT edition with a new foreword by Eric Zimmerman and a little blurb by me on the back. And this is the book we're celebrating today, A Playful Path. So Bernie has been incredibly influential on many of us in the game scholarship bracket. And he's also come and taught our students and done workshops at BK and other events, DEGRA and so forth. So without any further ado, Bernie.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Pierce. Okay, so playfulness is the key word. So no matter what happens, if you think about playfulness, if you kind of think about your own playfulness, and observe your playfulness, and honor your playfulness, and if I am able to do that in any way, to encourage that in any way, and help you kind of tease that out of yourself during this presentation, then I will have accomplished what my objective is, which is simply that. Once again, you can download the Playful Path for free right on my site, aplayfulpath.com. Why, you ask, Mr. DeKoven, is it called A Playful Path and not The Playful? Look at the good play.
That's DEGRA.
That is DeKoven.
In fact, this is the
2000.
name that academic. Yeah,
That's the name that academic.
game scholar. There's Jose Zagal, a Georgia Tech graduate. So, sorry.
Quite and that's below that bubble. And see right here it says, buy the paperback edition and you get one of these, or get the free ebook. How do you like that? And actually, my whole thing about this is that it's more important for me that people have it than it is that I don't need to make money from it. So the fact that you can download it for free and tell other people to download it for free is fine. It's fine. That's my goal. So, all right. I have a presentation that I prepared that in all likelihood I will not complete because it's the way things are. You recognize that? And so it's basically a reading from the book followed by the game. And there's like, I don't know how many readings we're going to do. It depends on, we'll see. There's his throat. Minor, sorry, old man. We are inherently playful. Inherently. We inherited our playfulness from our parents' parents, and if you want to carry it back to the source, from life itself. This partly explains why we respond so immediately to playfulness, not just when manifested by our children or any child, but anyone's playfulness. Not just anyone's, but even animals. We are so inherently playful that we don't have to be even vaguely concerned that we might lose our playfulness. It is built into our bodies, into our very genes. We have, however, been taught to distrust play. We have been taught that we are and should not be playful. We have been taught that play is childish, immature, destructive. Has anybody ever told you that you shouldn't be playful, you shouldn't be playing, that you're being like a kid or something?
All the time.
They're so stupid. The word stupid is what comes to mind. Because it's been taught by people who have themselves lost the path, who themselves were taught by people who believe that fun was, can you believe this, sinful. Taught by people who have inherited a broken culture where common sense has been replaced by common senselessness. Common sense has been taught that if we work hard enough and long enough to live a life that is dull enough, we will be rewarded, when all the time fun is the reward. So when I talk and write about a playful path, I'm neither talking or writing about how we can or should become playful, because we already are. Or how we can become more playful, because our playfulness is immeasurable. I'm talking rather about trusting our playfulness, believing in our playfulness, having faith in our playfulness, letting ourselves be guided by our playfulness, because our playfulness will lead us back to life itself. All of life. As much of life as we can let in, to the embrace of all embracing life, to, yes, joy. Oh. I'll go on now. Are you okay? That wasn't okay. And now we're going to play a game, or something game-like, which is called greetings. I call it that, greetings. As you know, there are many and varied ways of greeting each other in this room. We have many ways, such as the proverbial fist bump. So, I'm going to ask you to walk amongst each other and greet each other. And each time you greet somebody, remember how you did that, and the next person that you greet a different way. And just keep on manifesting various forms of greeting until the music is over, or you run out of greetings, or you just don't want to play it. Okay? And I shall begin music. Here we go, just kind of.
Sorry, is that part of the greeting?
Hey, maestro. Hey, good to see you. Hey, maestro. Yeah. Hey. Hello.
Nice to meet you, sir. Hi. I've done pretty much everything. I haven't done that. You done that one?
Hey. Woo! Hi. How are you doing?
Adam, you gotta say
Of course. Of course. Good to see you.
good to see you. Congratulations on your graduation.
Thank you.
That was very nice. Are you staying here?
I hope so. I just need to find a job now.
Do you have a visa? Do you have a visa for?
I have a little bit of time. My work license starts on June 16th. But yeah, I really hope.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Oh, we haven't done all of it.
Isn't that nice? Such a stupid game.
There were so many.
Being playful, page 34 and 35. You don't have to play to be playful. You don't need toys or games or costumes or joke books. But you do have to be open, vulnerable. You do have to let go. Playfulness is all about being vulnerable, responsive, yielding to the moment. You might not be playing, but you are willing to play at the drop of a hat, the bounce of a ball, the glance of a toddler, the wag of a tail. You are open to any opportunity. You are loose, responsive, present. You have to be present to enjoy the sunrise, to delight in the light of your child's delight, because otherwise you simply aren't there to catch it. It goes by you as if it and you aren't even there. Playfulness means presence, not just presence, responsiveness. But not just responsiveness, presence and responsiveness, lightness and attentiveness, improvisation and creativity, a willingness to let go and become part. When you are feeling playful, it doesn't seem particularly brave of you to come out and play, to invite someone to play with you, even at the office, even with a stranger. When you're not feeling playful, it seems foreboding, forbidding, foreboding. It seemed wrong, dangerously even. You risk being laughed at, made to feel foolish, seeming disrespectful, childish, crazy. And yet, to act playfully, to be playfully, given all that, is exactly that, brave. But the payoff, taking that step, braving that ridicule, the loss of control, to follow a painful path is, in truth, the shortest road to happiness. I say that because that kind of path, a playful one, takes you to where the fun is. And if you are there with the fun, with the sheer fun of it all, well then, there too, with you, is happiness. about that for? I love this stuff, man. So if I get enthused and it's groundless, just let me know. All right. The next series of readings and games are based on the game of rock, paper, scissors, etc. As this illustration so beautifully illustrates, illustratively speaking, there is more than one version of rock, paper, scissors. In fact, this one is the famous rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock variation. I only give this to you by means of illustration, by way of illustration, because what I want to point out is that there are many, many ways of playing rock, paper, scissors, some of which have nothing to do with either rock, paper, or scissors. It could be violin, chimney, and porcupine. And you can still play rock, paper, scissors. You just have to decide what means what. Now, if you do choose, for example, violin, chimney, and porcupine, then you have to figure out how do you manifest violinness versus porcupinery versus chimneyhood. So, if you're going to, like, let's say that we do read that. So, how would you be a chimney? Show that you're a chimney. Yeah, and would you make, and the noise, the chimney noise, or would it be a silent? It's a silent chimney. And the porcupine? And do you have any? It could. Yeah, but could we have like a little snarl? What do you think? Because that's, and then of course the other thing that I said, the violin. And silently or silently? What? Let me hear. Okay. So if you and I were playing, for a moment we'll demonstrate, and we're playing violin, and we'll say, oh, let's do violin, porcupine, and chimney, okay? And we'll go.
Back to back.
Yeah, back to back. Oh, wait. Question is, what piece?
Yes.
Okay, so clearly, the
Porcupine dies in the chimney.
Yes.
What?
That's what I was thinking.
Porcupine would die in the chimney, so
The-
chimney beats porcupine.
chimney beats porcupine, of course, because you get,
yeah.
Okay,
Porcupine
and
beats violin.
what?
Porcupine beats violin by stabbing.
Yeah.
Stabs to death the violin,
The violin will shatter the chimney.
and the violin shatters the chimney with the violin. Oh, yes! Okay,
Very good.
okay, here we go, you ready?
All right.
On three or three to go.
On three, you ready? Hey! I forgot that I was silent. Did I win?
Yes.
I won. Oh, I won. Victory is mine. Okay, so that's the, and you can have 5 symbols, 9 different things, whatever you want. Just figure out what piece what and what, and please do. Find a partner.
And make a new one?
Make a new one. Make a totally new, never played before version of rock, paper, scissors.
Look at that multiplayer.
2 players. 2 players.
Will you cut me?
Right, so this goes like this, I guess. The iPhone gets the straw can get the straw can get the
Damn you! Give somebody a good try! You're not.
You gotta watch it, she's wiry.
Okay.
Okay, do you wanna, well, you can show you working.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wait, we had a phone, and then we had a straw.
Okay, right. After we pay attention here, we have the demonstrations. We have the
Straw sucked up.
straw sucks up the pencil.
Okay, the phone whacks the
Phone wax
The straw.
Straw, of course.
and the pencil stabs the phone.
Stabs the phone because the pencil is mightier than the iPhone.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, we both drew the same thing, and then we each won one. So we came out completely even.
Excellent.
We must be related.
Because
Well, we may read each other's
like
minds.
a translation or something.
Yeah.
Connection there.
Both Middle European.
Yeah. All right. Did you want to demonstrate it?
Sure, we could do it. All right. Okay, I gotta think about this. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Stop.
Stat, and you were a.
I was the phone.
Oh, the phone. Oh, all right. Okay, cool. All right.
Now,
Okay.
Okay, we did shoes, trash can, and tree.
Yeah.
Okay, so the trash can beats the shoes because the shoes can be thrown away. And then I think the tree beats the trash can because the tree could fall, like one of the limbs could fall in the trash can. And then the shoes beat the tree because the shoes can climb on the tree.
Oh, or kick that you said kick.
Yeah.
Oh, you said, I said climb. But I see, I affected you for the pacifist.
Want to move around?
Okay.
Ready?
1, 2, 3.
Oh! Bravo.
Ours was disciplines. So we did science, art, and literature.
Oh.
Literature beat everything.
Science is, literature is, and art is, and we played 4 times and tied.
Every time.
So what beats what?
Oh,
Art beats.
science beats literature, literature beats art, and art beats science.
Oh, that's kind of. All right, you
Alright,
want
we'll
to
play once?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. 1, 2, 3.
Oh,
So she beat me.
Okay.
Finally wins.
when it's
Okay.
important.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to show us theirs? Yes, please.
All right, well, we did foods, and we had all the important food groups, right?
Yeah.
I'll do one. We had ice cream cone.
We also had sushi.
Sushi. Oh, look at some rolls.
And guacamole.
Guacamole, of course.
Yeah. And so the ice cream cone beats guacamole by scooping it up.
Yes.
And then the, what was it? Sushi beats ice cream cone by using its omega-3 acids to break it down. Doesn't make sense.
And guacamole beat the sushi by overpowering it.
Yeah.
If you cover your sushi
Yeah,
with
guacamole.
guacamole.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sushi anymore, for sure. And you want to demonstrate?
All right, ready? 1, 2, 1.
Oh, when a sushi meets a sushi, we'll have 2 sushis.
Even
More
better.
food.
3, 2, 1. Alright, 3, 2, 1.
Oh my goodness.
You're finished.
Incredible.
Anybody else?
Sure. Yeah. We did coffee, milk, and orange juice. Milk beats
Milk me coffee for some reason that
Because
I
it
don't
makes it
understand.
worse.
Yeah.
And orange juice beats.
Coffee because no, other way around.
Orange juice beats milk.
Yes.
Right.
Because it can curdle it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
When you accidentally pour it in your cereal.
Milk beats orange juice. Because.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Coffee beats orange juice.
Coffee beans or
Coffee.
And I don't think we even have to talk about why.
We're all okay, so we got an orange.
Instead of 3 kinds of cups.
We're trying to experiment with a different cup holding to symbolize an orange.
And milk.
Lactating and then coffee with you. So, okay. All right. 1, 2, 3.
Great. Anybody else?
This is
Excellent,
so unusual.
excellent. All right.
That was amazing. It is.
So one of the things that happens that I really think is very key when people start making up their own variations of a game is that they take ownership of it. They take ownership of it when they play it. It means that they have a different experience of the game because they designed the game. And if the game doesn't work, if it's not fun, they can change it. Whereas if you're saying, let's play rock, paper, scissors, well then you feel like, oh, I know how rock, paper, scissors is played, and that's the official way. And if I try to change anything, I'm not supposed to. It's not like the real game. And that myth of, that idea of that there being real games as opposed to games that we made up, I think is more deleterious to our natural way of playing. And whether or not it is, it's good to have the alternative. So that's my purpose. Okay.
I'd like to see some of these with rock, paper, scissors tag.
Yes.
Combine the ones
Oh
we
my
just created.
God. Yes, we'll do that.
All right. Now, the next. We have a reading. This is called Play Playfully. Playfulness opens you. It lightens your heart. It makes you more receptive because you are looking for things to play with and people to play with whom? Yes. It engages more of you, mind, body, senses, abilities. Playing playfully redefines the game and the consequences. It is transformational. It changes you. It changes how you relate to your children, your peers, to the people who serve you, the people who love you, the people with whom you work, sing, eat, love, play. The people you sit next to, the people you serve, the people with whom you stand in line, cross the street. You don't get disturbed as easily. You make up the game, it's your own game. If it doesn't work, it doesn't upset you. If you lose, it doesn't upset you because you made the game together and you're just having fun. You know that. The game doesn't take precedence over the fun that you're having. You listen more carefully. You are more interested, more compassionate, more aware. You rediscover the person you love being. Alive, energetic, caring, responsive. You laugh more completely. You smile more deeply. You are a better friend, parent, lover. You dance more. You paint more. You are more. And now to further explore the variations of rock, paper, scissors and our ability to do that, we have rock, paper, scissors for 3. Rock, paper, scissors for 3. Now we know that we're not really necessarily playing rock, paper, scissors. We could be playing chicken TV. Could we? But we're playing with 3 people. 3 people, as many symbols as you want. It could be just 2 symbols. 1 symbol could be boring, but who says you shouldn't try? So, if you will get into triads and explore the creation of a 3-person game of something like rock, paper, scissors, where something beats something else that beats the something that it got beaten What? 3 people, it's in the picture. Get into 3. Get into 3. And then you're playing with the person, the 3. Now you gotta decide whether you want to play rock, paper, scissors, or if you cannot find it.
Yeah.
So,
So we need you.
100. That's how.
We need you. Right.
My question is, when you play resources,
Sure.
one more symbol, then
Okay. Oh, and this means
Yes, excellent.
I mean, like at the same time,
And you're a sound.
Yes.
And the drum. Oh, God, I love it.
Okay, do we
Okay.
want to turn around?
Yes, I love it. And so I say,
Go. Okay, he's got it. All right, do it. 1, 2, 3, go.
What about if two people have the same thing, and that's oh, well, then let's try it one. Yeah, that's something you should do with rock, paper, scissors, because we figured kind of get the 3. Okay? So, go. So, and if we do
Now we should have time.
So maybe one person is like, then if she shows the person.
all right, we got it? Yes? You have? Yes? All right, it's sharing time. Can we share? Sharing time. You know, invention, play big, share. I want to share ours first because I'm so excited that we did that.
Yeah.
We decided to do only 2 symbols. So we said, but if you have only 2 symbols, how do you win? So,
The first time, because we did this twice, the first time, it was when 2 people did something, that's the symbol that won. And then we decided that, the second time we did this, or I don't know, the 3rd or 4th time, we decided that the person who was the individual, they won. Because they did better. So we can have variation.
because
And
originally-
then our master here did the sound of one and the movement of the other. So he completely confused us. Because then we had 2 winners.
yeah.
Both won.
Okay, would you like to see this demonstrated?
3, go.
What is it?
Okay.
Symbol.
You're all symbols. That
So
was
we had
symbolic.
drums.
Where are you, which was at the heart of it?
We had I'm sorry. We had a very similar thing. We started with the 2 symbols as well, and we did emotion, we did anger and love, and that was a great thing. And had the same, the one unique person won.
The unique person won.
But then I added that, okay, whoever wins gets to add a new rule in. So we won the first time, and then I said, okay, if we have a tie, whoever sits down first wins. And then then Jay won, and he's added a 3rd symbol in, and then we did it again, and when we were all tied, first person sat down won, and it was Capcom.
And our
Can
third-
we demonstrate
Yeah,
that?
demonstrate.
Are
So
you
now we do
gonna-
the three, now we have
Free
three.
version? Okay.
Yes.
Are you gonna hurt yourself if you don't have chairs available to you?
Okay, correct. Wait, what are the three symbols we have? Anger.
Anger,
Oh, right.
love, confusion.
That's beautiful. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, so wait. Oh, I win.
Love.
That's right. All
Love
right.
wins.
Love always wins, doesn't it? Confidence always wins. Lovely. Lovely. Anybody else? It's up to you. I'm not gonna. Yes.
We just did rock, paper, scissors, shoe.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoe. Yes. And
That's it.
Oh, you added one more, so you had 4 things.
you had 4 things. Rock,
Oh,
paper, scissors, shoe.
oh, no, that's just like the name of the game.
Yeah.
Well, it's called rock, paper,
Yeah,
scissors.
you just throw the symbol.
On shoot.
Okay.
Ah, and then anything else different?
Yeah, we,
So then how'd you
we
know
played
who
with the
won?
original 3 rules, and then we tried to get to the scenario like if both of us did rock and he did scissors, even though both of us would have won since he was a unique symbol, he would win.
That was the unique symbol, Floyd.
Yeah.
That's
So we did
interesting.
that too.
I love that.
Yeah. But we never actually had it happen. He won like every round against both of us. Yeah.
Oh, man. To play more playful. All right, anybody else? All right, very nice. Wow, that was beautiful. How's this going, by the way? You like the readings with the game? Does it work well?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Sort of, yes.
This is called Becoming Playful. It's a good idea to be more playful, just like it's a good idea to be happier. But to get there, you need to stop telling yourself to be different. Try this instead. Try letting yourself tell you. Ask it to let you know when it's feeling happy or playful. In fact, I suggest an even simpler question. Ask it to tell you when it's having fun. Fun, like I say somewhere else later on, is easy. Playful, happy, maybe not so much, but fun, you can have fun watching television. Okay, maybe not like deep fun, but fun nevertheless. You can have fun reading, browsing, searching for something on the computer. You can have fun eating, chewing gum, knitting, taking a walk, tasting something, feeling, smelling, listening, touching. You can have fun watching someone else have fun. After a while, when you've spent enough time listening to yourself talk about all the fun you're having, you can start asking yourself to tell you when you're feeling playful or even happy. It's easier for yourself now because you've been talking so much about the fun you're having, and usually when you're having fun, that's what you're feeling. Happy, playful even. Maybe not deeply happy or profoundly playful, but you know, you're having fun, and well, that's what makes you happy. Makes you want to play. Makes you even want to get other people and beings and things to play with you. And then you see, you've become the playful person you always were, but never thought you were enough. Never noticed, never allowed yourself to believe in. And so your life starts feeling even more fun, and you start feeling even happier, being even more playful, just like that. Think about that for a minute. Start with fun. Fun is they're all in the same place. Fun, happiness, playfulness. Don't try to say, I wish I were more playful, because that's going to end it all the way through, because you're going to keep on saying, I'm not playful enough. How can you ever be playful if you're saying to yourself, you're not playful? How can you ever be happy if you're saying, I'm not happy? And now, the last station in our exploration of rock, paper, scissors, etc. for 3 teams. Tie to win. It's played thus. We have 3 teams. Teams, not individuals. 3 teams. And you decide how many different symbols you want to use. In fact, we could all just have 3 teams right here and just play with 3 teams right here, everybody in 3 teams. And the object of the game is to tie. I don't know. This was a massive one that we tried, which was quite effective for people. As you can see, they're manifesting various things. Do you recognize this?
Of course.
Yes. So, let's all do this together. Ensemble as a unit. 3 teams. 3 teams. Any team you want. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the teams have the same amount of people. Who says it does? Nothing. Hey Adam, are you feeling play deprived?
A little bit.
So
I would love to play too.
You want to just put the camera somewhere? And
Well, we don't have to have even.
I need one person.
it doesn't have to be. It's just 3. 3. We
have imaginary people.
That's what we time
All right. So now we meet ensemble in a circle and we say, what are we going to have 3? How many symbols do we want to have? We know we could have 2. We've done that. We know we could have 3. We could have 4. We've seen that happen. Let's give a number.
That's right.
If we do 1.
6.
6 symbols and you have to tie.
Well, we need to say what we're going to do before me.
And then what? Yeah. Are we going to tell the truth or are we going to each other? What, you want to try 6 symbols?
Yeah, let's do a number.
Okay.
And then to add up to something.
Oh, are you a teacher? Arithmetic game.
Then you don't have to remember.
Okay, so they're what? They're numbers.
Yeah.
You can 1 through 6.
1 through 6.
And what would be the total that would allow us to consider ourselves having tied?
They have to be the
7.
say the same thing.
Okay.
3 numbers have to add to 7.
No.
Yeah,
Anyone that's 6, we lose.
3 numbers have that.
If
Yeah.
any one person gets 7,
What about they have to add to, every team has to add to an even number?
And then we have to come up with 7.
Well, never mind the 7. Arithmetic doesn't sound like fun to me.
No, more than 5 or less than
It
10.
has to be an even number.
So,
Okay, that works.
Any even number,
Then
as long as it adds up to an even.
As long as
One
it's-
of your choice, it bundles then.
but then,
Either
I see. So,
what about
No, 3 and 3
all
is
have to
6.
match even or odd as each group?
Or they have to be either all even or all odd.
Even.
Yeah, so you pick individual numbers,
Yeah.
then we add them up.
And if each
Then we say whether we got even or odd, and then we try to all tie. The tie is if everybody gets all even or all odd.
right on, sister. Okay. Let's all pretend we actually understand.
Play the tie.
So if we
We'll
all
do-
pick an odd number.
So,
The teams have to tie.
the team. Well, are we going to get together and pick a number together? No.
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 Everyone.
No, everybody's
Everyone
individually
in the
going to
team.
pick a number.
Yeah, we don't tell
And we
each
don't
other.
know whether the other people are going for even.
Oh
or
my
for
God,
odd.
yes, and then we all look at what each team has accumulated with their numbers, adding their numbers together, and then
The best game ever.
you know what happens then?
If we're all
It
is now.
Sure does feel like agitation.
Perfect.
Okay, so, yeah.
Can we just pick 1 to 6, is that it?
Or all three
Or
choose
10.
it.
Six or two?
Oh, got it?
Yep.
If all three, so,
Six.
so, we don't know what we're gonna come up with, but if we all three come up with either the even or the odd, then we all win. That's the goal. Can we discuss it with each other?
Yeah.
Can we discuss? Yes.
Can we tell each other?
Okay.
Well,
So
first
it's
we have to
26.
you know what we have to do, we have to turn around
Okay.
and shove it.
Okay. Can I add that we can only use
But we
this
should do it in a
as
circle, come here, Sarah. So we can't say, we have to turn around and show the numbers in a circle so we can't see each other.
Only 5.
only 5 fingers.
5 fingers.
Number 5.
I was willing to do this, but all right, you're gonna be rigid.
Yeah.
Unless you have 6
Unless you want to change it.
1 to 5.
Actually, no, actually, yours okay. Okay, this is doable.
Okay.
We don't even know. So we turn around to show, ready?
3.
1, 2, 3.
That's right.
Let's see.
free odds.
Even.
Symbolize that by going 1.
Oh my God, it's so complicated.
Odds.
Are you ready? Oh, wait, I wasn't ready. Are we starting? Are you
Started.
starting
We
already?
already did it.
Oh, you already did.
Well, did we win?
You want to 5, what did you want to?
We had 16.
We didn't do it. We didn't do it. Okay. We're still talking about the rules.
One more time.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Right,
Okay, yeah.
okay, turn around.
Okay.
1.
One,
Yeah. 16 or 20.
Oh, we all went. Well, you were the outlier.
All right.
Okay. Okay, and then what? Then what happens?
Even.
Even!
And then even.
Odds.
No!
We're even. We were even.
That game was
That was
almost like
hard
school. Really.
I was trying
It was
to
just about like school, but
Yes.
but that's good to remember about the difference between what makes the game into school.
Numbers.
All right. Well, yeah. Okay. I don't want to do this.
I wish those.
Did you hear what he just said?
What?
What did you just say, young man?
I wish that was school.
He wishes that was school. That'll be school.
It will be school.
Then is the rest of the.
Everybody knows.
So why did you wish it was school? What's the difference?
Well, school's all like hard work. Like that was all like fun in a way.
In a way. And the school fun is every day long.
Well, it's fun when we get to take a break
Yeah.
Yes.
for like 2 minutes.
Well,
Oh, hey,
Baby.
I don't know what it is, but I love
Is
it.
that a pond in the middle?
It is.
Ping pong.
this is called ping. Oh no, actually it's called ping pond.
It is, yes.
And it was an artist, he did these crazy things with games. His name was the artist that did this. If you look up ping pond,
He is just the artist.
no, really, honestly, if you look up ping pond, you will find his name. Ping pond.
I won't find it.
You
You will
will.
find, yes. Okay. Playfulness is what you might call a practice. It's something you have to remind yourself to do until you don't. There are many good reasons to let yourself be playful, and many equally good reasons why you generally don't, which explains why it's called practice. So here's what you might need to remember. You can almost always choose to be playful. It's really interesting to think about. There's just this moment of choice that you have when you greet somebody, when you respond to somebody, where you can actually choose to be playful in that moment. You're almost always allowed to be playful, and in all likelihood, you'll be glad, and so will the people with whom you are playing. The easiest way to practice playfulness is, as you probably have already surmised, by playing. And the many things you might be playing so that you can practice playfulness, often the most instructively fun of those things are games. Especially games that are obviously playful. Games whose only purpose is to engage your playful self. Games that have nothing to do with score, winning, or being on one side or another. Games that play with playfulness itself, like the games that we've been playing. I have one more that I wish to share with you. This is called verbal ping pong. And once you understand verbal ping pong, you could investigate it further. And there's verbal volleyball, of course, verbal maybe, I don't know. Anyhow, and it's like this. So you have, in this ping pong game, you have ping or pong. Ping is always said quickly. Ping, pong can be said as long as you want. However, when you stop saying pong, the other person must say either ping or pong. If they ping you while you're in the midst of a pong, that's a fault. If they go pong when it should have been pong, that's another fault. Get the basic idea? And then at the bottom it says there's the possibility of adding other kinds of ping-pong-ish terminology to your verbal game of ping pong, like spin, which is, as I say, the equivalent of a verbal backhand. The equivalent of a verbal backhand. So you could say spin, and if you feel you're so moved, the only effective return for a spin, of course, is a ping. Anyone trying to pawn a spin automatically misses unless it gets returned. I'm just saying, look. So pretend you're just playing ping pong, but all you can use are words and sounds. And try to figure out how you could actually play a game that is ping pong. Or if you want to play because you feel more groupish, you want to play ping pong. You could have a four-handed ping pong game. Or run around the table ping pong, which I wouldn't know how to play. Or you can play volleyball. What?
Don't overcomplicate things.
I'm just giving you choices. Okay, start with ping pong. Go ahead. In partners, in how do you want? All right. Ping pong.
Try the ping pong version. Yeah. Let's do it. I feel like I need to stand next to my
Cool. Want to be partners? Okay. All right. Yeah. So wait.
Yeah, there we go. Yes. There.
Do you want to play volleyball? So, 3 minutes. So what's going to happen is when the ball comes to us, the first thing we have to do is ball, and then the next person has to set, and then the next person has to play. set. Oh, you want to give me sounds though.
It has
So
to be.
you
See, now there's long delays between the bang and the pound. There should not be long delays. It needs to be immediate. Like an eternal.
Oh, I'm not doing it.
Bing bong is a song.
Okay, bump.
That's a good
So
sound
you
for
mentioned
set.
that.
So your sounds are bump, set.
We can make a sound for it.
The Jewish say
Yeah, set.
Ah.
Instead of movement,
Spike.
yeah.
Maybe California.
Bump, set, spike.
So we have to go back until we spike, and then they have to go back.
Bump and set, bump and set, spike.
Oh, we could do it bump, set. We have to return after the spike.
Okay.
And the spike.
Nope.
It's like some.
Bet.
Spike sounds together.
Yeah. We always have to return the spike with a bump.
Yeah. Ping pong.
We can try. It's not a big deal. If it doesn't work, it won't work. All right, so.
Yeah, I want to slam it. I want to. Yeah, I want to get the.
Just keep up with it. Really think about it. Yeah, keep up with the metaphor.
Okay. So bump and set is between you and spike.
I was thinking for a second maybe we could have
Set, so can you change arms?
I would say people in you
So maybe you can only say cow off of you say out over here.
Please, let's do it.
Okay, let's try it.
Should I interrupt you? I have a demonstration, volunteer demonstration here.
Okay, and then if it hasn't.
All right. I'm going to stop you. But stop. Like, we're going to do some demonstrations now. I thought that was enough.
We could do. Communication.
All right, we have a demonstration here. Would you like to explain it?
Just ping pong, but we added, have the spin thing and we have the spike. And after a long pong, I'm going to do a spike and we have to do a quick ping to return here. All righty. Ping pong. Spike!
Could you do it again? You want to serve this side?
Ping. Spin. Ping. Ping. Pong. Spike. Ping. Ping. Pong. Ping. Spin. Spin. Spin.
That's a long
I did a long ping.
Hey. All right, well, that's the gist of the game.
That was very musical, by the way.
This game gets better the more bored you are. So,
It's good with gesture.
The more you dirty it is.
Yeah.
we had a French variation.
Yeah.
Oi.
Big.
Very short. Oi.
Big.
Anybody else want to share a thing that they did? You guys were getting into volleyball or something.
Yeah, we did volleyball with teams at bump, set, and spike.
Can you want to demonstrate?
That was very confusing, but we could try, sure. So, all right.
Serve. Set.
Bump,
Bump.
set,
Set.
Spike.
Set.
Set.
Bump.
Set.
Spike.
Bump.
Set.
Bump.
Set.
Bump.
Set.
Spike. Bump.
Set.
Bump.
Set.
Set.
Spike.
Set.
Spike.
That's good.
Well, they like ping, then she has to say pong, then I have to say ping again, pong, ping, pong. But then you have to do different hand movements every time. So like I'll do that, and then she has to do this. But then if she does this right after I do that, then she's out. And you have to kind of remember it because you can't do it 2 turns even after. Like if I do that, she does this, I do that, and then she does that again, then she's out. Oh my.
It was tough. Yeah.
You want to demonstrate for?
Okay.
And we'll just laugh at you. So.
Okay, so
Ping,
pong,
ping,
pong.
ping. Oh, dang it.
I got lost. Anyway.
That's so much genius in one little group. Guys? Well, you know you're
What do we have? We have Kapow. And with that, Kapow could only be served off of ping, and then must be returned with a pong.
Visualize the chemistry.
Okay.
We have a kapow.
Oh, we also use the chair as our table. All right, do you want to serve? Or?
Ping,
Pong.
ping,
Ping.
pong,
Pong.
ping,
Pow. Wait.
pong,
Ping.
ping,
Ping.
ping,
Ping.
pow.
Pong. I think I'm maybe.
I interrupted you.
Oh no. All right.
All right, it's a stupid game, right?
Good, good.
Most often, your state of playfulness is like a state of grace. It happens. Not necessarily because of anything you're doing or choosing or are. Not because you're so spiritual or wise or talented. But more because you are, for the moment, being blessed. Sometimes it's a squirrel that makes that particular blessing, or a child, or a lover, or a cloud, or the rain. Sometimes those very beings and things are the very reasons you're not feeling or acting so playful. Sure, the more you play, the more you get to be playful. Even more sure, the more you get to be playful, the more likely it is that you'll respond playfully to just about anything. But it's never just you that makes you playful. Most of the time, it's you and something else, like you and the wind, or you and the play of light, or the play of something alive, or the reflection of light in someone's eyes, or you and the reflection of someone else's moment of delight, or you and the touch of wind on your body, or the touch of a child, or a pet, or a lover, or the rain. So you shouldn't take it on yourself. It's playfulness is usually experienced in relationship to something. That's the gist of what I was trying to do. All right. When an orchestra first starts, it does something like this. You know what I mean? Something like that. Okay. So, I would like you for a moment to become an orchestra and just tune up. I'll be the conductor. Thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't have my
Baton?
There's always one person who has to tune up something else at the end of it. This is a game called Gatech Cacophony. It's patterned after, we know what Gatech means. It's patterned after a thing that is called the complaints choir. Now, there is an actual phenomenon called the complaints choir. And these people get together. I could have shown you a video. You can see it's online everywhere. Complaints choir. They get together, and they are actual singers and musicians, and they compose a song about things they want to complain about.
I love it. That's great.
And then they get together and they perform. And they do it in public. And there are many, many examples on the web of the complaints choir. If you want me to show you one, you will, but trust me. Now, the Gatech Cacophony goes one step further. In the Gatech Cacophony, everybody complains simultaneously about anything that they feel like complaining.
Oh, what a relief it is.
Yes. And we're going to do it to a song, a tune, which I will play via the electronic tune-making device that we have. And we need somebody to volunteer to be the conductor, and any other roles that if somebody would like to, be the cymbals and not actually enter into the kvetching, then that's fine, or we could all sing together. But the idea is, it's totally unrehearsed. It's just, you're just complaining, as long as you feel like complaining about anything that you feel like complaining about, to the tune that we're going to play. And we need a conductor. Adam, would you care to conduct?
Okay.
Would love to, yeah.
Well, Adam, I certainly hope that somebody's going to video you conducting, because you're going to be just beautiful.
You can just put that up there. He doesn't have to actually hold it, right? You can just leave it.
Do I?
I don't know.
I would like to conduct a film. I just need one hand to conduct anyway.
All right. Here they are. They're ready to crash. Oh, well, there's more. Shut up. Thank you. All right. I have one more reading. entrance to your playful path is wonder. The first step in the rediscovery of your playfulness is the moment when you allow yourself to wonder at something. To wonder at the beauty, the intricacy, the touch, the sense, the workings of the world. Now is always new, never then. Step back into it. Pretend something. Pretend that you are a camera and everything you see, every movement of your eye, every saccade, part of the recording. Everything you hear captured in real time. Have you ever done that? You just pretend like you're a movie camera and like as you're walking, you're just kind of and it's like really, it's just a tape recorder when they had tape with a voice recorder, and it's like every sound that comes in, you can't edit it because you're capturing it live, so you direct yourself towards the sounds that you want to capture. It's what we're talking about here. It's very cool. Pretend you are the director, framing and focusing on each movement, each effect, each change in light, each shadow. Pretend you are in a theater and you are watching it all in IMAX 3D. The camera pans down. You see the sidewalk sparkling in the sun, moving at the edge of a shadow, framing a single scintillation. It is your shadow, wonder of wonders. It is yours. So here's something else to wonder about. And I need 3 people to come with me while I instruct them in what to do. And while I'm instructing them in what to do, I have an instructional video that I made so that you can practice the thing that they'll be doing. I hope the sound is loud enough here. So.
I am honored to introduce you to the way of the frog. I begin with my 2 hands, this hand and this hand. That's a requirement.
3 people, please. 3 people.
I have 2 bottom fingers. One is we'll call what do we call that? That's the pinky, yes, that's true. And this is the ring finger. Notice I have marked my ring finger because of the complexity of this experiment. I take the pinky and the ring finger and I intertwine them thusly. You see the intertwinations of the fingers? Then I place my 2 middle fingers over my, which are actually ring fingers. So, you see the left off the ring fingers. Then, and this is the trickiest and most difficult and challenging and perhaps mysterious part, I take my 2 pointers and I move them around the ring fingers. You didn't know that those were the ring fingers. You probably forgot. You see them around the ring fingers. Leaving the 2 pinkies and
that finger doesn't belong there.
But
you have an extra finger.
I take the 2 thumbs, I put them together. I bring the thumbs together with the pointer and behold. Yes, 2 times actually.
Any questions?
Yeah, that's perfect.
You have your frog now?
Just like that, so your middle fingers go down.
Yes? All right. So do you have your frogs?
Yeah, have the middle fingers down.
Yeah. They're still working on their frogs. What?
You might have to,
Anybody need frog assistance?
Then we take our index fingers.
And then would someone who has mastered the frog please share your frog with somebody else? We have a frog in E, there's a frog in D.
okay. Yeah, so where?
Yeah, except we're pointing them together, so basically we're making them out. So the index fingers don't use their proper. Good. Ring fingers are
Thank you. You could take them anywhere.
So you just have to remember that the two little fingers have to do something, right? And that these fingers are the eyes. And those two, that just makes the mouth. That's what it's like that.
So if I say, what's the answer?
I'm sorry.
And if you have dots on the eyes.
What's better?
So when you say this one, right, this one, right? This one. You, and then this one.
30 million.
Oh!
Yeah.
Lovely. Okay, so that's the wisdom.
I have to
So
just
we're gonna-
watch them.
All right. All right. You have all achieved your frogs? You're all you become one with your frog? Okay. Now, phase 2. This is where the wonder comes in. Is they're going to be the frog oracle. And would you get in the frog oracle position, please? Okay. And does anybody have a question that you would like to? Anybody have a question you'd like to ask the frog oracle? Yes.
How many flies do they need per day?
Oh, oracle of frog. How many flies do you need per day?
Always.
I
Like
To
frolic.
around
millions.
Of
flies
dead.
ago.
20.
Bravo! Bravo! Sometimes the wisdom of the oracle is a little, you know how it is with oracles. Okay? So let's ask them a more meaningful question.
About the future. What is the meaning of life?
What is the meaning? Don't say 42, you cannot say that.
Yeah, it can't be 42.
Okay.
Always
Matt.
Life.
is
Often.
Strange.
but
I
Don't.
think
you
Should.
care.
This is one deep frog. Deep frog. A final question for the frog.
Here's the best pizza.
No, will Celia be happy when she eats?
Oh, Celia be happy.
No way.
Yes.
Bravo! Thank you, frog.
Frog oracle.
The oracle says, the oracle tells you you'll be happy.
All right, well, that's the end of my thing there.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, it's an hour and a half, isn't it?
2 hours. More
Do
time.
we wish to speak about the experience?
Do we wish to speak about the experience? Do you wish to ask questions of the oracle? And answer one word at a time.
I wish to say something with respect to the various Pong-esque things that were explored. Because it made me think of two things. One was George Machinis's modified ping pong tables.
Yes.
Which, are people aware of these? Some of you are because you took my class. George Machinis made a series of modified ping pong tables and rackets. He was the father of the Fluxus movement, and so he would take a racket and put like a piece of foam rubber on it, or some styrofoam, or a hole. He would cut a hole in it, and then he would do things weird to the table, like bend it, have it bent weirdly, or put some weird surface on it. And that was one thing I thought. And then the other thing that reminded me of was Open Score, which was, I'm totally blanking on the guy's name, 50s conceptual artist and painter that everyone has heard of, but I just didn't have any mental blank. Open Score by Rauschenberg, where they built a tennis court that was electronically wired to produce sound when you play. So in a sense, the tennis court was a musical instrument. So I was thinking about this just because in general, the construct of a Pong/tennis-like game mechanic is a very rich domain for modification and playing around with play, if you will.
As is rock, paper, scissors.
Yes.
And so these are the Orozco is his name.
Yes.
Oh, you found it?
I did.
Yeah. And he also did a billiards table. Very, very strange. His billiards table, this is a picture of it. So it's a, I thought it was oval. I think it's oval.
That's shocking.
And there's,
Oh, and then the movie.
there's a, excuse me, there's, the cue ball is on a pendulum, is on a string.
That's really cool.
And I saw the exhibit.
It has a trough.
Yeah, well that's for the other balls to go around in. I saw the exhibit, and the guards around kept on saying, no, you can't play with it.
That's what they do when they show Machinis stuff. They put it in a plastic case. It was very expensive.
I couldn't believe it. That's, but they're all invitations to play. I think they're invitations to play.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, when I tried to do a ping pong mod at Incade a couple of years ago. I think it was the one you were at. And we got a table, and I took all these rackets, and I did all this weird stuff to them, and I put like patches of carpet on the table. And over the course of 3 days, everybody restored it to its original state.
Yeah.
It was a very interesting emergent behavior of kind of reverse engineering it back to its conventional mode.
Weird.
I know, especially.
Well, Rocky and I, we have a ping pong table in our front room, and we took the net off. So that, because our whole focus is just on keeping the ball going. And it's become like a dance for us. So.
I like the four-way ping pong table idea a lot, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, we were talking about possible modifications to ping pong tables when we were doing the main game. Like sometimes my friends and I step away from the table altogether and just try to keep the ball going, pinging back and forth.
Tableless ping pong.
Yeah. Sometimes the goal is to just, with the regular ping pong table, get as many volleys back and forth without it hitting the net or falling off. And things like that. I think it'd be really cool to have a completely circular ping pong table that you can run around.
Yeah.
Without hitting.
What would you have in the middle?
I was thinking almost like Foursquare. You could have 2 nets.
Oh yeah, like Foursquare.
Kind of like that. Yeah.
So, but the fun of it comes from really making the game more than it does from playing the game.
That is the secret. You've just discovered our secret. That's our secret.
Well, so the more that you can invite the players into making the game, the more you can share the playfulness that inspired you to create the game in the first place.
Once you had a ping pong table that was like a Lego set, essentially, with parts that you could attach to different parts of the table. Like if they had, they could have little holes in it all over it, so you could put things with dowels on it, so hoops and different nets of different sizes and things like that.
I was kind of thinking that exact thing, to make a modifiable or reconfigurable ping pong.
Mermaid's ping pong.
situation.
I did it in our little triad practice paper, but every time you do a game like War or Rock, Paper, Scissors or even Hearts or Bridge, right, that someone wins a round, the winner gets to add a rule in to
Yeah.
the next one, so
that
that
was-
the game always changing, and you can keep
Or
it
the
changing
loser,
over.
I like it
or the
better to
loser.
have the loser out of it, because the winner's
Gives them
winning
another
already.
advantage.
So why not?
And then they are forced to say, Greg is great every time they dial me or something.
Most people get creative when that's involved with the drinking game.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the finest games that I've found are drinking games.
Have
I
you
used,
ever got a cat on your head?
yeah, yeah. Do you know it well enough to lead it?
I could try. We have to sort of sit now. It's better. Well, yeah, we can do it with this configuration. So the way this works is that the cat is supposed to be conceptually moving through the group, and you turn to the person next to you and say cat, and then they turn to the person next to them and say cat, and you sort of pass the cat around. So you start with that. You want to start with
Cat.
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 You have to turn to someone and look at them and pass the cat to them. So
Cat. Cat.
actually, there's nothing I said to suggest that you couldn't do that. So theoretically, you could just sit there and do that. But you're actually supposed to pass it on to the next person.
Oh.
Shall we try again?
Yeah.
Why don't you start it this time?
Cat.
Cat.
What did you look at?
You looked at me.
Cat.
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 Cat. Cat.
Cat. Cat.
Cat.
Cat.
Cat.
Cat. Cat.
Cat.
Cat.
Cat.
Cat.
Cat.
Cat.
Cat.
Cat.
Cat.
All right, I'm going to stop here since I've never seen a cat. So now, we're going to add a second component to the game, which is we're going to introduce, of course, a mouse. So the cat's objective, of course, is to get the mouse. So I'm going to start cat, mouse.
Cat.
Mouse.
Cat.
Mouse.
Cat. Cat.
You're the mouse.
Now remember, the cat is trying to get the mouse, so theoretically, the mouse is trying to avoid being.
Mouse.
Mouse.
Cat.
Mouse.
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 Cat.
Oh, who's the cat?
Cat.
Cat.
No, actually, the cat is not the mouse.
I thought the mouse. Was I the mouse?
Yeah.
Oh!
Anyway, this is sort of how it goes, and then you introduce cheese, and
yeah.
that's pretty much how you do it. So there's not. I keep asking them to give me formal
They know.
instructions, and
They
they
know.
won't do it.
But they played it with hundreds of people.
Yeah, so you can play it with it works really well with an auditorium format.
With everyone in like a grid format.
Yeah,
But it's a pub game.
just English. So yeah, it's a cool game. I'm totally blanking out on the guy's name again who made it, but it's
Yeah,
awesome.
I know the
He
pictures
made
where this guy with big
international racing
glasses.
squirrels also. Well, no, it's not. There's no supposed to. There's no supposed to.
Oh, no, I was,
Oh, you were.
yes, scheduled for 90 minutes in my own time, and then thought that the last 30 minutes could be devoted to telling Celia what a wonderful job she's done.
Oh, stop that. You're embarrassing me.
Well,
She really enjoys it.
Keep going.
Did anyone else want to talk about anything else with Bernie?
I have a question. So the talk about playfulness, like in your day-to-day life and everything, got me thinking about, how it relates to other philosophies, I guess you could say. And so one that comes up right is Buddhism. And that always has this idea that, suffering is a necessary part of life. And I'm wondering how your discussion of playfulness handles that sort of issue. Like what's going on when you're not feeling playful or when you're not having fun, and how you approach that.
I keep on thinking of the Dalai Lama when you ask that question. And every time that I see his face, I see him smiling or laughing. And I know he's very much aware of something. And it's kind of why I tell people that I think playing in public is basically a political act. Because you are in a world where people are suffering, you are not. You are manifesting the fact that they can be playing. And it becomes like somehow, any time that people are doing a game in public, and it's good to know that because other people will walk by you and some of them will look like, man, you shouldn't be doing that at you, or as if you're violating something. When in fact you're celebrating and manifesting the freedom that you have as a human being to choose to be playful. So that's the closest I can come to an answer. Playfulness does not deny suffering. It just says that suffering doesn't need to be the thing that stops it.
It's interesting when you were talking earlier about play and sin, because there's a whole history of that association and also how people respond. So we did an exercise in my class last semester where I asked the students to stage a happening in the middle of the campus. And I gave them literally randomly chosen things that were in the lab. A large roll of 3-foot wide saran wrap, a bunch of balloons, some fans that were left over from another game, and they went in and they staged this whole thing. And what they did was they wrapped the saran wrap around 3 light poles and created this triangle in the middle of the breezeway. And then whenever somebody would, and they had, it was the blind gatekeepers who had their eyes closed and had a blindfold on, because I always had blindfold, and then everyone had to tell them to raise the gates when people would come by. And so people were, and then when they would come through, we would all applaud and clap and cheer, and then they would go through the other side. You would have loved it. It was right out of you, really. We were channeling you. And sometimes people would avoid it. They would see it and they would actively go around it to avoid being part of it. Sometimes people would go in and then they would start to smile and sort of get into the play mode. Sometimes people would be so absorbed in the mediated cocoon that they didn't even realize it was happening. That happened several times when people would walk through and they were completely oblivious to the fact that there was this thing going on. And then there were 2 incidences that involved a truck. And for one of them, we pulled the saran above the little truck, and then a big truck came and pushed it down on the ground. It was this whole thing of sort of intersecting with the day-to-day in a playful way that people had all these different responses to. Interestingly, nobody came from the campus and tried to stop us or tell us what we should do. Maybe because it's Georgia Tech and people do weird shit here all the time. But it was fascinating to see people's responses to that. And you were in that class. Was anyone else here in that class? How did you do that?
I saw videos, but
Yeah, so I think that that there's a lot of reasons why we aren't playful as much as we can be, and most of them are because of a social norm that does not acknowledge playfulness as proper behavior. And I think that norm is what causes most of the suffering that people experience in the world. So we can alleviate certainly our own suffering and probably the suffering of people with whom we associate by allowing ourselves to be playful when we feel so moved.
Well, and also I think it takes effort. It takes it's actually, you know, work to engage with other people and to be playful with other people and to, you know, to encounter the world that way. And so it's much easier to shut off, you know, and much easier to not engage with people. And it actually doesn't always feel good to try to engage, but you're rewarded when you do. And you sort of put
I have a read.
Playful with yourself
See if I can find it. I can find it more easily on this.
You know, can I just say also that it's actually much more than just a tendency. There actually has been periods of time when it was a sin to play games, an actual sin. So it might be a little harsher than we're giving it credit for, the resistance to it, especially in this Puritan Protestant
Puritans
country.
came here, right?
Yeah, the Puritans were, you know, it was considered sinful to do anything involving dice, for instance.
Hey, let me,
Yes, please do.
one of my favorite things to do when I go for a walk is to make passing contact with strangers. It's a fine art requiring careful timing and sophisticated strategy. A pass begins anywhere between 10 and 5 paces. The fewer the paces, the greater the challenge. During this time, you must establish eye contact and determine the form of encounter, verbal or non. Each has its own range. Nonverbal can vary from a smile to a wave to hat doffing. Verbal can vary from hi to hello, how you doing, beautiful day, beyond that kind of stuff. It can be a very rewarding game, especially when someone actually acknowledges and returns your greeting. The degree of reward depending upon the form the response takes relative to your opening gambit. So, for example, a smile and a nod in response to your opening smile is significantly rewarding, more rewarding than a nod or a smile alone. A verbal response to your nonverbal opening is even more rewarding, and clearly the combinations are endless. It can be equally disheartening experience, however, when your gambit of greeting is not returned. To bridge the psychic abyss left by a gambit declined, I, from time to time, like to keep score. Every time I get a response, I give anywhere from 1 to 10 points to humanity. In like manner, when I don't get a response, I chalk it up to man's inhumanity to man. Since I'm on the side of humanity, I'm always glad when humanity wins. Consequently, I'm constantly exploring new and more effective strategies to secure humanity's ascendance in the great game. And when the victory goes to the dark side, at least I am not personally implicated. So that's kind of a response. You can kind of do things so you minimize your sense of exposure or risk by telling yourself it's not you who's losing, it's humanity that lost. Be on the side of humanity. But I do that all the time. I love doing that. Talking to strangers, cashiers, waitresses, taxi drivers, people in the street, just encountering them and getting some kind of response, because it changes things. It changes when it's successful. It's fantastic. It's worth the effort. It doesn't really, to me, it doesn't seem like an effort because it's so rewarding when it happens. And I guess maybe it's like learning to play the fool or something, so you know you're just being a fool. So you don't take it personally, I guess.
There's a philosophy book I just read, The Grasshopper King's Life in Utopia.
Oh, yeah,
Sure. Yeah, which is the Aesop's fable, the ant, the grasshopper, and the ant works, and the grasshopper plays all summer. But he takes who is the real winner. I mean, the Aesop fable, he's supposed to be the ant, but he goes that the grasshopper is playing. He's doing life.
He's alive. Right, and the ant has never experienced his life.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Yeah. It's a very good book.
Can you talk a little bit about the concept of winning from a philosophical perspective?
You know how we handled winning in our games that we played? We made it into something that kept the game going. I think that's kind of what needs to be done with winning. Instead of it being the end point of the game, it's kind of the thing that we keep doing so that we can win more, or so that the win can be shared more broadly. Winning and losing they're game conventions. They don't really happen in life. We just put them into games to make the games more fun. But that doesn't work when the game becomes rigid, and the game we begin to feel judged by the game, not in terms of how we play, but in terms of who we are. It's not that I don't teach cooperative games. I don't think cooperative games are better than competitive games. But I think you can play competitive because you can play competitive games in ways that is just as much fun to lose as it is to win. Like when we're playing a What, that's one of Rocky's favorite games. Or
Which game?
a game called What.
What?
Exactly. You've never played that game? I never told that to you. Do you want to do it now?
Yes. Of course.
Okay. We're only going to play it to get to the point of it, rather than to actually enjoy it. Is that all right? If we need to form a circle, perhaps of chairs, sitting in chairs in a circle around. And I'll be here.
As opposed to a square?
It could be an oval circle, it could be a ragged circle, but as long as there's like a sense of circular containment. Because we're going to be all right.
Is this circular enough?
Yeah. Well, we need to get close enough to each other so that this is a game of passing things. You don't know this game. Oh, are you going to be illuminated?
Let me just sit up.
All right, this is a game of passing things. So give me a name for this object.
Crystal.
Crystal. I drew the person to
Just
my...
made that up.
Yeah, it's perfect. Oh my goodness, it's right on there.
Perfect.
Yes! So, I turn the person to my right, and we follow in this method. It's a bit clumsy, which is part of the fun of it. I say to you, I give you a crystal, and you turn to me and you say, a what? And I say, a crystal. And you take the crystal from me and you say, oh, a crystal. You must not deviate from this pattern. And you turn to the person to your right, you say,
I give to you a crystal.
and you say, and then you have forgotten. In that brief moment, you have forgotten. So you return the crystal to me and say, oh, what? Oh, what? And I give the crystal back to you and I say, a crystal. And you go to her, you say, a crystal. A crystal.
A crystal.
And you take the crystal and say,
Oh, crystal. I give you a crystal.
what?
A
A
what?
crystal.
Crystal.
A crystal.
Oh, a crystal. Exactly. You have the gist of it now? Okay. Yes, you got it? Do we need to practice?
Yes, we want to play it.
We're going to play, but that's only the beginning of the game.
Yes.
Why don't you start the crystal when you feel so, and you'll be the point of origin for the crystal. This is kind of like the other game that we played, Alina. Now, I need another name for this object.
Luminov.
Alumina?
Luminov.
Luminov. It's a Russian. Luminov. Luminov and crystal. Okay. Now, I'm going to pass the Luminov this way. Okay. Now remember, the Luminov always has to come back to me. The crystal always has to come back to me. Okay. I give you a Luminov.
Crystal. Oh, a crystal.
What?
I gave you a crystal.
Oh.
A crystal.
Aluminum.
A crystal.
I give to you
Oh, a crystal.
a what?
Aluminum.
Aluminum.
A what?
A crystal.
Crystal. Oh, what?
A crystal. No.
Aluminum.
No.
No. What?
A crystal.
Aluminum.
Crystal.
Oh,
Aluminum.
I'll be the person to see it for the first time.
You say
A what?
what?
I give to you Aluminum.
A crystal.
A what?
A what?
A crystal.
Aluminum.
I give to you a croissant.
Aluminum.
Oh.
A what?
What?
I give to you aluminum.
Yeah.
I give to you aluminum.
Crystal.
A crystal.
What?
A crystal. A what?
Oh, a crystal.
Hey,
A what? We know I already did that, right?
That's a game.
Aluminum.
Aluminum.
What?
A what?
A what? A what?
I give to you
What? A crystal.
a what? A crystal.
Crystal.
what?
A crystal.
A what?
A crystal.
A
Oh.
what?
I give to you
Aluminum.
a what?
A what? A what?
A what?
What?
Aluminum.
A what? A crystal. A crystal. Wait. Aluminum. Wait, did
A
you
what? A crystal.
Aluminum.
A what?
A what? A what?
a what?
A what? Did I already do?
Oh.
It's been
A
going
what?
No, she
No,
was
okay.
That's
supposed to go all the way.
Supposed to
Wait,
go all
did
the
I
way
pass
back.
the aluminum off the wrong way?
Aluminum.
No, you did what you were supposed to do. You just passed the crystal.
Oh, aluminum. I give to you aluminum. Wait, is this the wrong way?
Why?
And there is the gist of the game.
So she wins.
I won because I
Crystal limit.
So this game plays with embarrassment, I suppose. But you know, it's such an impossible game that's the whole. It doesn't get fun until it's embarrassing. There are a lot of games like that, like games where you're not supposed to smile. That if you really succeed at the game, it's like really not fun.
That sounds incredibly
They're lovely.
Yeah.
Especially singing games.
Such as
Well, like Banana, whatever the heck that was. The
Banana
banana
song?
song.
the name game,
Yeah, that.
where
You say somebody's name and then you say the next person's name. and
Right.
you say-
so it's trying to
But you have to remember what you did before, and it's very.
I try to avoid memory games
I'm
because
sorry, what did you say?
that's exactly right. Anyhow, that's actually, I don't know if that was a drinking game in the beginning or what. It has that
Oh,
quality.
make you drink if you weren't drinking already.
And Rocky's favorite way of playing it, I'll just show you another way of playing it that causes Rocky to convulse. Exactly. In this version, could everybody just find an object of any sort? You know this one?
Wait, what?
Any object, such as the well-played game would be perfect. A knife of death is excellent. Yes. Okay, I don't have an object. I would say yes. Oh, yeah. Okay, so everybody has an object? We're not going to play this very long. I just want to tell you, but it's a variation of this game. It goes like, so this is kind of like we played before, only not at all. So you think of a name for this object. Let the object actually tell you its name. Talk to it. It will speak to you. You find its name. Okay. Let's say you find its name. And then we're all going to do this together. So you turn to the person to your right and you say, I give you a Meryl said, so, but we're all doing this at the same time. So you have your name for your object. So, you ready? Everybody pass. But don't hold on to it for a moment. And pass as if you're going to say, I give you. Okay. Now you see how difficult it is. The challenge is, and it's kind of, it's too silly to play this way. Therefore, the game goes like this. So when you get it, you say, when it goes to you, say, oh, what? Go to the person who goes to you, say, thusly. Follow my direction, please. I give you a what? And you do that. You're going to do that 3 times. 3 times. I give you a what? A what? And then at the 3rd time, you take it and you say,
You actually pass.
So you actually pass it. And now you have the new object. Would you but try to be as close as possible. Okay? You got it?
Alright.
Okay.
The rest of the game plays the same, like the object goes also always back to its origin, right?
No.
No.
Oh no.
Okay.
No, you just keep on passing that.
But nothing like the other.
Right.
Yes.
But same kind of- Exactly.
It's like a very muddled telephone kind of.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Well, in theory, you could play it until you get the object that you started with, just to say, oh, is it going to have the same name? In fact, you know it's not going to have the same name. So why even bother? Okay, but we'll do this just a little bit, just so you can see. You ready? You all have your name. I give you a what? What?
I give you a
The sports are cultural institutions. They represent.
All that is evil about America.
But it may be all that's evil, but it's fundamental. You know, it's really it's like church. You know, and you can't really you can't go into a church and start tap dancing in the middle of the day because they would not welcome that as part of their liturgy. So you either have to, as some people have tried, start another church, which is a church of fun, church of, shall we say,
Play?
Yeah.
or you, I mean, really that. When we were doing New Games was, for you to know, New Games was this event that was done in the 60s and 70s, where we would we'd get thousands of people to play together. And the way that we always did it was first of all, there was never only one game being played. Because the idea was that we wanted always people to have choice. So that people could feel encouraged to quit a game if they wanted to, or to join another game if they felt like it, or to start their own game. The other thing is, if we felt that there were people who were playing a game and we didn't really want to continue playing that game with them, we would just go off somewhere and start another game. We would never try to change the game that the group seemed to want to play. So if they chose to play a game that was violent and competitive, we would just go off and play something else that was also maybe competitive, but stupid and competitive that nobody really cared about winning. Or we would invite people to make up their own game that was like that game but had nothing to do with it. So the idea is to provide the alternative, but not to confront, not to do it by confrontation, but to do it by being there and doing it. And especially in relationship to what else is being done, then that gives that alternative real power. So when you're playing, so there you are in the middle of some public square and you're playing a game, you're creating that alternative. And that's I think that's the best that we can do. So, I mean, I can imagine that if new games became like a big religious, spiritual event that countries came and compete. I had this whole idea. I wanted to create peace between the Arabs and the Israelis. Yeah. And I said, okay, what if the Arabs would invent a game and the Israelis would invent a game, and then they would compete playing each other's games? I said, wow, what a cool idea. But, you know, the Arabs are too serious about what's going on with the Israelis and vice versa, and they can't break that. So the best thing you can do is just find a place where you can openly play with people. And I don't know if that was too long of an answer, but that's...
No, I just thought it would be powerful to have a little less formal, like we're not all competing against each other, but like playing earthball and rock, paper, scissors, tag, and all of these other types of games in something like the opening ceremonies of the Olympics that already has exposure to the whole world as a way to come together to play. But not only could the athletes be playing, but even the people in the stands could be playing, the people at home could be playing. The whole world could literally play together.
But you can't, because you'd be confronting the Olympics. You'd be confronting all of that. You would be violating what people's the sanctity. So what you do is you make something that's parallel. It's really the only. That's how things succeed. I mean, that's how things get changed. You know, somebody creates an alternative and he starts playing jazz in the streets, and after a while, other people are playing jazz, and pretty soon the whole world is dancing to the beat of jazz. Then somebody else starts up with some weird swing music. It's not. I don't know. Playing with a sitar, like the Beatles did.
Hip hop.
Hip hop. Yeah, hip hop. Yeah, absolutely. So it's an alternative, and so it attracts people who want to do something that is alternative, and that's political because it's done in contradistinction or distinction to the status quo. That's why. Yeah. Thank you, everybody.